Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's isopanishad class. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Reading from the book Sri Ishopanishad, the knowledge that brings one nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, by His Divine Grace, Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Mantra 13. Anyadevahuः sambhavad anyadahur asambhavat इति शुश्रुमधीराणां येनस्तद्विचचक्षिरे. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. It is said that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and that another result is obtained by worshipping that what is not supreme. All this is heard from the undisturbed authorities who clearly explained it. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. We'll be reading the last portion of the purport. According to the Vedanta Sutra, Sambhuta is the source of birth and sustenance as well as the reservoir that remains after annihilation. Janmadhyasya yataha. The Srimad Bhagavatam, the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author, maintains that the source of all emanations is not like a dead stone, but is abhijna or fully conscious. The primeval Lord Sri Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 26, that he is fully conscious of past, present, and future, and that no one, including demigods such as Shiva and Brahma, knows him fully. Certainly, half educated spiritual leaders who are disturbed by the tides of material existence cannot know him fully. They try to make some compromise by making the mass of humanity the object of worship, but they do not know that such worship is only a myth because the masses are imperfect. The attempt by these so called spiritual leaders is something like pouring water on the leaves of a tree instead of the root. The natural process is to pour water on the root, but such disturbed leaders are more attracted to the leaves than the root. Despite their perpetually watering the leaves, however, everything dries up for want of nourishment. Sri Ishopanishad advises us to pour water on the root, the source of all germination. Worship of the mass of humanity by rendering bodily service, which can never be perfect, is less important than service to the soul. The soul is the root that generates different types of bodies according to the law of karma. To serve human beings by medical aid, social help, and educational facilities, while at the same time cutting the throats of poor animals in slaughterhouses, is no service at all to the soul, the living being. The living being is perpetually suffering in different types of bodies from the material miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death. The human form of life offers one a chance to get out of this entanglement simply by re establishing the lost relationship between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. The Lord comes personally to teach this philosophy of surrender unto the Supreme, the Sambhuta. Real service to humanity is rendered when one teaches surrender to and worship of the Supreme Lord with full love and energy. That is the instruction of Sri Ishopanishad in this mantra. The simple way to worship the Supreme Lord in this age of disturbance is to hear and chant about his great activities. The mental speculators, however, think that the activities of the Lord are imaginary. Therefore, they refrain from hearing of them and invent some word jugglery without any substance to divert the attention of the innocent masses of people. Instead of hearing the activities of Lord Krishna, such pseudo spiritual masters advertise themselves by inducing their followers to sing about them. In modern times, the number of such pretenders has increased considerably, and it has become a problem for the pure devotees of the Lord to save the masses of people from the unholy propaganda of these pretenders and incarnations. Pseudo incarnations. The Upanishads indirectly draw our attention to the primeval Lord Sri Krishna, but the Bhagavad Gita, which is the summary of all the Upanishads, directly points to Sri Krishna. Therefore, one should hear about Krishna as he is by hearing from the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. And in this way, one's mind will gradually be cleansed of all contaminated things. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 17 says, by hearing of the activities of the Lord, the devotee draws the attention of the Lord. Thus, the Lord, being situated in the heart of every living being, helps the devotee by giving him proper directions. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 10, confirms this. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. The Lord's inner direction cleanses the devotee's heart of all contamination produced by the material modes of passion and ignorance. Non devotees are under the sway of passion and ignorance. One who is in passion cannot become detached from material hankering, and one who is in ignorance cannot know what he is or what the Lord is. Thus, when one is in passion or ignorance, there is no chance for self realization. However, much however much one may play the part of a religionist. For a devotee, the modes of passion and ignorance are removed by the grace of the Lord. In this way, the devotee becomes situated in the quality of goodness, the sign of a perfect Brahmana. Anyone can qualify as a Brahmana if he follows the path of devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, verse 18 also says, किरातहूणान्ध्रपुलिन्दपुल्कषा आभीरशुम्भायवनाखसादयः येऽन्ये च पापायदपाश्रयाश्रयाः शुध्यन्ति तस्मै प्रभविष्णवे नमः. Any low-born person can be purified by the guidance of a pure devotee of the Lord, for the Lord is extraordinarily powerful. When one attains Brahmanical qualifications, he becomes happy and enthusiastic to render devotional service to the Lord. Automatically, the signs of God is unveiled before him. By knowing the signs of God, one gradually becomes freed from material attachments, and one's doubtful mind becomes crystal clear by the grace of the Lord. One who attains this stage is a liberated soul and can see the Lord in every step of life. This is the perfection of Sambhava as described in this mantra of Sri Ishopanishad. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, we have been discussing mantra 13 from the past two sessions. This is the third session. So, this mantra is saying one result is obtained by worshipping Sambhava. Sambhava means the ultimate cause of all causes, the Supreme Lord. And another result is obtained by worshipping Asambhava, that is, that which is not the supreme cause. Right? So Prabhupada is explaining here Sambhuta means the source of all birth and sustenance, as well as the reservoir of that remains after annihilation. That means the ultimate source of everything, that is indicated by the word Sambhuta in the Vedanta Sutra. And in this mantra, it is indicated by the word Sambhava. So, if one does not understand the nature of Sambhuta, Sambhuta means the ultimate cause of all causes, the ultimate reservoir from where everything has come, the ultimate source of power, even for great devatas. That is Sambhuta. So, if one does not understand the nature of this Sambhuta and instead gets carried away by the wrong, bogus propaganda of so called spiritual leaders, then their life is wasted. That is why the this knowledge has been given to us by Veda Vyasa, by Vyasa Deva. Vyasaha Kripana Vatsalaha. So Vyasadeva is very, very merciful towards the living entities, especially the human beings, who are struggling in ignorance without knowing the ultimate purpose of their existence. So Vyasadeva has written all this in the Vedanta Sutras. He has encapsulated everything. And further, he has given a commentary on the Vedanta Sutras in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is called the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Why it is called natural commentary? Because the author of Vedanta Sutra, that is Vyasadeva himself, has written commentary for Vedanta Sutra in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why Srimad Bhagavatam is called natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. Bhashyam Brahma Sutranam. Brahma Sutra is another name for Vedanta Sutra. So Vedanta Sutras means short aphorisms, formulae, you can say. It is a condensed form of the entire Vedic knowledge. There are about 500 plus Vedanta Sutras. And these are all in short forms. For example, one of the Vedanta Sutras says, Athato Brahma Jignasa. That's all. That is the Sutra. What is the meaning of this? Athato means, now that you have come to human form of life, you must inquire about Brahman, about the supreme absolute truth. Another Vedanta Sutra says, Janmadhyasya Yataha. That means the absolute truth is that from where everything has emanated. One who is maintaining, who is creating, maintaining, and destroying everything. That is the ultimate absolute truth. So, like this, in short aphorisms called sutras, Vyasadeva has condensed, summarized the entire Vedic knowledge. Now, in Kali Yuga, people do not have the time, patience, and intelligence to study the entire Vedas and then understand the Vedanta Sutras. So, being very compassionate on the people of Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. This Srimad Bhagavatam is nothing but further explanation of these Vedanta Sutras. For example, the first Vedanta Sutra, Athato Brahma Jignasa, it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam as Jivasya Tattva Jignasa. The only purpose of human life is Tattva Jignasa, inquiry about the absolute truth. And The next Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha, it is further explained in the very first shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditarataschaarteshvabhignaswarat tene brahma hridaya adhikavaye muhyanti yat surayah tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrusha dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. Now, this is the first shloka, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 1. Now, this is the explanation of the condensed Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha. Now, in this shloka, very clearly, Srila Vyasadeva has explained that uh, that supreme absolute truth is Krishna, and he is the cause of creation, maintenance, and sustenance. And that supreme absolute truth is not a lifeless object, is not some energy or some dull matter. That supreme absolute truth is a conscious person. Abhignya Swarat. Abhignya means he is fully cognizant. He is all knowing. He is a person. And he is Swarat. Swarat means he is supremely independent. Like this, it is explained. By his illusion, even great devatas are put into ignorance. And the very first created being, Lord Brahma, received transcendental knowledge from him only. Like this, the first shloka of Bhagavatam explains the Vedanta Sutra. Janmadhyasya yataha. So, but many so-called spiritual leaders today, they say that the absolute truth is not a person. The absolute truth is lifeless. He is the absolute truth is simply some energy like that. But this is not the right understanding. Vyasadeva, who wrote the Vedanta Sutras, he has explained the Vedanta Sutras in Srimad Bhagavatam, and he himself is saying that the absolute truth is a person, and that person is Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, he says. So, who gave the intelligence to these so called people, spiritual leaders, who think that they are greater than Vyasadeva, and they say that the absolute truth is impersonal, right? So, they think they are more intelligent than Vyasadeva. So, this is their unfortunate situation. So, therefore, because they do not understand the nature of the absolute truth, therefore they keep on speculating, and their speculation will not lead them to any proper conclusion. And unfortunately, they are also guiding so many innocent people, and these innocent people are also being misled. They are also being misled. So, this is the problem in the current material world in Kali Yuga. So Prabhupada is giving an analogy based on the analogy given in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada is explaining that we have to pour water to the roots of a tree in order to nourish it. That is intelligence. That is the natural way. If you pour water to the individual leaves, twigs, branches, it is of no use. It's a wasted labor. The tree won't be benefited. Similarly, if one simply worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the entire existence, all the devatas are also satisfied. This fact is not known to the so called spiritual leaders today. So they are very busy pouring water to the leaves, and they are not bothered about the root, Prabhupada says. But Ishopanishad is saying that in this mantra that it is important to pour water to the root, the ultimate cause of all causes. Right? That is what we have been discussing, right, from the past 2 days. Anya Devahuhu. sambhavat, anyadahur asambhavat. By worshipping the cause of all causes, one kind of result is obtained, while by worshipping something which is not the ultimate cause of all causes, some other result is obtained. So, why today people are not happy? What is the root of their dissatisfaction, root cause of their dissatisfaction? Because they have been not trained to worship the ultimate cause of all causes, Krishna. They are busy pouring water on the leaves, on the twigs. How is that manifested? We see today a lot of people say, the so called spiritual leaders and even the material leaders, they say we should do social service. So they open so many, you know, uh, medical facilities and social help, educational facilities. No doubt all these are important, but so much emphasis is laid to all these things, and zero importance is given for the need of the soul. They don't understand that simply by taking care of the body, they will not be happy. All the educational institutions, healthcare institutions, social welfare institutions, they're all catering only to the needs of the body. Nobody is bothered about the need of the soul. That is the problem. And that is why, even though so much efforts have been put to help people, people are not ultimately happy and satisfied. They remain dissatisfied. So, this is the imperfect leader's planning. The leaders themselves do not know that there is soul and there is need for the welfare of the soul. Simply taking care of the body is not sufficient. They don't understand this. So they are simply busy pouring water on the leaves. But the root, the soul, is suffering. That is the problem. So this mantra of Ishopanishad is saying, don't simply be bothered only by the leaves, pour water at the root. That is intelligence, right? So this is a very important instruction that is required for everybody, not only spiritualists, not only devotees, even the decision makers in the society need to know this. They need to know this. Otherwise, all their policies will have this loophole, the wrong. Prabhupada explains in one lecture. Suppose you're solving a mathematical equation. In the very first step, if you make a mistake, and in the other steps, you use all your intelligence, you make all the steps perfectly correct, can you expect the right answer, right solution at the end? No, because the very first step you have gone wrong, that error which is there in the first step will get carried forward in every subsequent step, and it will be reflected even in the solution. So the solution also will be wrong. That is the exact situation of today's modern day civilization. So people think that they are the body. The leaders who are supposed to guide the public also, they also don't know. They are also thinking they are the body. And therefore, based on this assumption that we are the body, they make all plans and schemes. They come up with so many big policies, hmm, to thinking that this will help the people. But it is hardly helping people. Why? Because the core understanding is missing, right? Simply pouring water to the leaves. What are you doing for the nourishment of the soul? They have no answer to this question because they are clueless, they themselves do not know. That is why in the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said in the very beginning, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan ahamavyayam vivasvan manave praha manurikshva kave bravit. Lord Krishna told Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, You are not the first person to whom I am speaking the Bhagavad Gita. Much before you, many millions of years ago, I have spoken the same knowledge to the sun god Vivaswan. And Vivaswan spoke to his son, Vaivasvata Manu, the father of mankind. Vaivasvata Manu spoke to his descendant, Ikshvaku Maharaj, who was in the solar dynasty, Surya Vamsha. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. In this way, this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was passed on in from one Rajarshi to the next Rajarshi, saintly king. Why do the kings need this Bhagavad Gita knowledge? Because unless they know the difference between matter and spirit, unless they know the difference between soul and body, what real benefit can they give to their citizens using their policies? They are not going to give any benefit. So, therefore, the spiritual knowledge contained in the Bhagavad Gita is required for the policy makers, the decision makers of the society. That's why Krishna spoke this knowledge to the great kings. But today, unfortunately, when we talk about Bhagavad Gita, they say, oh, this Bhagavad Gita is meant only for some sadhus. It is only meant for some people who are in the renounced order of life, those who have got nothing good to do in their life, those who have, could not do much in their spiritual, in their material career, they have to read. Or retired people who have nothing to do, they should sit down in home after 60 years, then they should study Bhagavad Gita. What a foolish, what a foolish theory it is. It is not at all right. So, therefore, it is important that all of us preach this message of Bhagavad Gita to more and more people. We should make a sankalpa. Every week, at least to one person, I am going to tell about Bhagavad Gita. Weekly, one person, one soul I will touch. Imagine if all of us start doing it. In a year, we can touch 52 people at least. And if hundreds of our devotees, they do this in a week, touch one person, tell one person about Bhagavad Gita, can just imagine the amount of transformation that it can bring about in the society. So this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is not simply meant for our reading and keeping quiet. It has to be distributed. Unfortunately, the country where Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago, in that same country, not everybody knows what is there in Bhagavad Gita. What a great irony it is. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, whoever has taken birth in this holy land, India, they have got a very important business. They are supposed to go and share this knowledge with the rest of the world. If not rest of the world, at least Indians, all of us. In India itself, people don't know about Bhagavad Gita. Even if they know, they may be reading some unauthorized version and commentaries of Bhagavad Gita. They'll get a wrong understanding. So after reading the entire Bhagavad Gita, they will say, Krishna is not at all existing. Are, you read the words spoken by Krishna and you're saying Krishna is not existing? This is Mayavada explanation, isn't it? So that's why it is important to reach out this knowledge to people. Now Prabhupada says another important thing, quoting from Bhagavatam. So if someone takes up the process of hearing Krishna Katha, what happens? All the contamination sitting in his heart will be destroyed. And when contaminations, what are contaminations means? The influence of Rajoguna and Tamoguna, mode of passion and mode of ignorance, which is manifested in the form of lust, anger, greed, all these things. This will all go away simply by hearing Krishna Katha. Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishnaha Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam. So all the The negative things which are sitting in our heart will be cleansed simply by hearing Krishna Katha. And then what happens? The influence of Rajoguna, Tamoguna will vanish. Then they will become situated in Sattva Guna. Sthitam Sattve Prasidati. So when we are situated in the Sattva Guna, then there is satisfaction, and that is the symptom of a Brahmana. That means through the process of Bhagavata Vidhi, simply hearing and chanting about Krishna, any person can become a Brahmana, can become situated in the first class position, Sattva Guna. And Prabhupada is quoting this shloka from the second canto of Bhagavatam. Shukadev Goswami offers these prayers to the Supreme Lord before he begins narrating Bhagavatam. And he says, Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shumbha Yavana Kasadayaha. He gives a list of uh, people who are impure, right? Low born people. What happens to the low born means what? They are not civilized. They don't know what is the goal of life. They are simply living like animals. They are called low born people. Their consciousness is on the animal platform. And these people also can become purified if they take shelter of a pure devotee. Yenye cha papa yadapashrayashrayaha apashrayashrayaha. Taking ashraya of a person who has taken ashraya of Krishna. That is our process. We cannot take directly ashraya, shelter of Krishna. We are not qualified, nor do we know how to do that. The best thing is to take shelter of a pure devotee who has already taken shelter of Krishna. Then we also get shelter of Krishna, isn't it? That is the point. So, yenye che papa yadapashrayashrayah shuddhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. Simply by taking shelter of a pure devotee spiritual master who has in turn taken shelter of Krishna, one becomes shuddhyanti, one becomes purified hmm, of all the uh, contaminations of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Because when you come to pure devotee, you hear Krishna Katha, and the pure devotee tells you to chant Hare Krishna. Just by the Shravanam and Kirtanam, all our negativities will go away, and then we become situated in Sattva Guna. Then in Sattva Guna, we can start thinking about what is the goal of life, what I should be doing in my life, how to surrender to Krishna, and we can understand the spiritual knowledge better. So therefore, Prabhupada said our Krishna consciousness movement is meant for creating first class Brahmanas in the society. Now, Brahmana doesn't mean a caste. Brahmana means one who is interested in Brahman, in spiritual knowledge, practice of the spiritual knowledge. That is Brahmana. So, Brahmanas are the head of the society. Just like if the body does not have head, no brain, no senses, what will the body function? How will the body function? It's not possible. In the same way, the society cannot function if there are no Brahmanas, people who can give guidance based on the bona fide scriptures. So, therefore, according to this mantra of Ishopanishad, the Dhiras, the undisturbed authorities, the Acharyas, they have concluded that if one does not take to the worship of the Supreme Lord, then there is no use of human life. So that is the message of this 13th mantra of Sri Ishopanishad. So there are 5 more mantras. Totally there are 18 mantras in Ishopanishad. So 13 are done. So next session we will begin the discussion on mantra number 14. Thank you for your valuable time. Shri Ishopanishad ki jai. Vishwa
Jai.
Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.